Right, this is another in our series in which I'm talking about the older cognacs that we get from Maison Surrenne. And today I want to talk about the Héritage. We had Héritage 1, which was a cognac, a Grand Champagne, which showed up in somebody's records in 1875. We found that there's a guy who makes a living out of going around cognac, scouting out old bottlings, and he found this, one of those carboys with the 1875, but we sold all of it. It's now gone. There were only about 60 or 70 bottles of it. And to replace it, we brought in Héritage number 2, is from the village, a distillery, small distillery near the village of Cherves-Richemont in the Borderies area. And Borderies is, actually my favorite cognac area. They've got, the cognacs have terrific body and volume from the soil. And this particular, they don't know exactly when it's distilled. With all of these old cognacs, where you start dating it is where they show up in somebody's inventory. All I know about this is that it's more than 105 years old. And it's now sitting, the other half of it, we bought 24 bottles of it, and the other 24 bottles are sitting in one of those rattan-wrapped glass carboys in the Typhon facility upstairs at the Madame, and we were able to talk them into selling us 24 bottles of this stuff. And both of these, I haven't tasted a lot of 100-year-old cognacs. I mean, who has, except for maybe the cellar master at some of these big houses, but there's something about them, you can just sense that they sat somewhere not being disturbed for a very, very long period of time. Just, nobody puts these things into new oak. Nobody puts them, they were in old oak barrels probably for about 50 years and then got moved into carboys 50 years ago. And they've just been sitting, doing their very quiet thing. It's sort of like old books in a library or something like that. When you pick up, I was once in the Vatican and was able to look at, rows and rows and rows of books that had been printed before 1550 in Cannabula, and you could just feel it. It was just, it had this sense of like, age, and that's how, and then you translate that into taste. And most old cognacs just, they're not interesting at all. They taste like old oak, they taste like old mushrooms. The only thing interesting, people pay a lot of money for old cognacs and they get something that isn't particularly good, it's just old. So getting something that has this kind of age and sense of age to it that is actually a really great cognac is not easy to do. But so you both have the taste and flavor, and then there's this other part of it, which is the experience of putting something that old in your mouth and letting it sit there and feel the fact that it was sitting all by itself for more than 100 years.